Hello everybody and welcome to a video that I cannot believe that I have to make. I've heard about flat earthers and globe deniers semi-frequently throughout the years, but I believed that most people making such claims were just trolling. But as I've looked more into it, I'm beginning to realize that many of these people genuinely believe that the earth is flat. So I figure that talking about these frauds and clowns is probably the best way that I can spend my time right now. Before continuing any further, I have to make it abundantly clear that I have absolutely zero education or credentials in the fields of astronomy, geology, chemistry, biology, or any other field of science. The buffoons that I'll be looking at today are equally as qualified as me. So none at all. I'm making this video to show that even morons without a college degree can demolish some of the outlandish and idiotic claims made by these people. Alright, so the first clown that I will be looking at today is a man by the name of Eric Dubé. He seems to be one of, if not the biggest channel dedicated to the idea of a flat earth. And as I will hopefully point out today, I will demonstrate that he is not only completely detached from common sense and reality in believing the earth is flat, but is also peddling dangerous beliefs to his viewers. Before going any further, I'd like to play a portion of one of his videos so that you can get a good idea of who Eric is.
Your Greatness, I must implore an audience once more.
What is it, you sniveling globling?
It's the flat earthers, my lord. They're asking about ships disappearing over the curvature of the globe. Clearly, ships moving away from an observer disappear hull first, proving they are descending down beyond the curve, correct?
Of course.
And since I am not equipped with any sufficient knowledge in any field of science, it is truly remarkable that even I can point out the absurdities in some of Eric's wild claims. On the screen now is a video version of a book written by Eric titled 200 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball.
3. The natural physics of water is to find and maintain its level. If Earth were a giant sphere, tilted, wobbling, and hurtling through infinite space, then truly flat, consistently level surfaces would not exist here. But since Earth is in fact an extended flat plane, this fundamental physical property of fluids, finding and remaining level, is consistent with experience and common sense. 4.
Before I get to some of his more nefarious and outrageous claims, I want to start with one that I found in many flat earth circles. The claim is that if water always conforms to its surroundings until it's level, then the earth cannot be round. So often, flat earthers will use phrases like, use common sense, or just observe, and then immediately go and make idiotic claims like the one I just mentioned. With basic understandings of gravity that I learned through observations in 9th grade physical science class, you can use common sense to realize that all of the oceans are level. Any given point in the ocean will be perpendicular to the Earth's center. I'm not going to dwell on any more of the moronic takes presented by Eric, but now I would like to focus on the ones that I genuinely believe to be harmful. At the end of the day, merely believing the Earth is flat is not hurting many people, but some of the points used to explain the idea of a flat Earth are very dangerous. In Eric's book that I previously mentioned, one of his points, 193 out of 200, basically translates to, the Earth is flat because I said so. This is not a strawman argument that I am doing, claiming that no unindoctrinated man would ever conclude or even conceive, given their own devices based on their own personal observations, that the Earth was a spinning ball revolving around the sun, is absurd. In middle school and high school, students gain access to countless methods of observation that confirm Earth's position as a ball in a heliocentric model solar system. Observing retrograde motion strongly supports that the other planetary bodies orbit the sun, and through this observation, it can be inferred that the Earth orbits the sun as well. Retrograde motion is directly observed in a physical science class of 9th graders, and you can track and plot where the planets appear in the sky as they orbit. Retrograde motion cannot be explained by any flat Earth model. In my school, we even went as far as to recreate Eratosthenes' experiment to calculate the circumference of the Earth. We noticed the difference in shadow lengths and angles from one area to the next. So no, Eric is completely wrong, and you can easily come to the conclusion that the Earth is round utilizing basic tools and common knowledge. Eric's observation that the Earth appears to be flat holds zero ground in scientific reasoning. It is extremely hilarious that many flat earthers will claim something along the lines of, just use your basic observations, and claim all authority needs to not only be questioned, but be outright ignored and discarded. Of course it is important to question and be curious about things, but being so anti-establishment that you negate the observations of millions of people who've conducted simple experiments in middle school and high school is insane. Eric's unindoctrinated observations do nothing to render the observations of the rest of the entire human race obsolete. Treating Eric as though his observations and claims in scientific fields are somehow more reliable than the observations of literally every middle schooler and high schooler makes zero sense. Almost all of the flat earthers that I've encountered in my research for this video constantly go on and on about needing to go against the government or establishment in some form. And yet, the 193rd proof demonstrates that he believes that his observations hold more merit than the observations from other people. But his next point, point 198, is even more laughable. Just as is commonplace in most other conspiracies spanning throughout the entirety of human existence, he poses that Jews are somehow partly responsible for the mass deception of making everyone believe the Earth is a sphere. It wouldn't be conspiracy after all if Jews weren't mentioned. It doesn't take a degree or even a high school diploma to recognize how ignorant and dangerous these claims are. Even though I've not gone through college education yet, I've done tons of research in history, and I believe that anybody who paid attention past 3rd grade would easily recognize how absurd this claim is. Absolutely zero evidence is provided that Jews, Freemasons, the Illuminati, or any other group of people have a stranglehold on the masses. And this is, of course, because no such evidence exists. This next proof, proof 19, that I will be talking about, is another one that caught my eye as a history nerd. This guy, Tycho Brahe, didn't observe parallax, so therefore the Earth is flat. What Eric fails to say is that this guy lived over 400 years ago, and technology has advanced so far beyond what the people at that time period could have ever imagined. Not only was the technology worse than it is today, but telescopes weren't even invented until 7 years after he died. It is pathetic that you discredit modern observations of parallax by going back 400 years and presenting their lack of understanding as fact. Misrepresenting history is a very slippery slope. Alright, so the next channel that we're going to look at is called Level Earth Observer. I've watched over half of all of his videos uploaded in the last 4 months, and this guy is quite the character. Almost every single one of his videos consists of him whining about being strawmanned, begging the YouTuber Simon Dan to make a video about him so that he can stay relevant, and making outlandish claims about the shape of the Earth. He himself always goes on and on about how he actually isn't a flat earther, but he never elaborates on what the Earth actually is. All he does is whip out his magnifying glass and go scouring over every single microscopic detail of every picture and video ever released from space, looking for pretty much nothing.
So here's the historical image from 1972. Here it is again next to Google Earth. Now this is the area I want you to focus on. The Gulf of Aden, but particularly the Red Sea, okay? We've just seen the Red Sea on Google Earth. And when we zoom in on the Red Sea on the historical image from 1972, we see an awful problem here. It would seem the Red Sea in the historical image from 1972 has a huge landmass right through the middle of it. And
One picture looks a little silly. Spherical Earth debunked! At least with Eric Dubé, he would at least try to provide sources and calculations, even if they were entirely incorrect. But Level Earth Observer mostly just says, "Nuh-uh," to any claims or evidence about the Earth being a sphere. The only place where he even remotely attempts to provide an explanation is in his About section on YouTube. And he mostly just goes on about not understanding gravity, just like Eric Dubé. What's even more concerning is some of the comment sections on his videos. There will always be a few people in there clowning globe deniers, but I've noticed the responses in the comment sections on his channel are particularly unhinged. Well, alright, that's enough clowning on people for one day. Thank you for watching.